Okay, welcome to the AquaStax Hour on a Thursday afternoon. Me, Long Steve, at 3 o'clock on Thursday, the 23rd of February. Right, I just noticed that live coding has updated itself, or live.edu.tv has done a bit of updating. I'm just going to double check my. Looks like they're rolling out the new package of project-based systems. I'm just logging on there now. Let's see what does go live do. It tells me I'm going live. However, my project page looks a bit rough at the moment. Somehow all of the formatting that I had in, all the markdown hasn't translated properly. But if you go to the particular project, by clicking on the large picture on the page, it does seem to have all of my history, which is rather nice, all the comments I've made after each time I have changed the or each time I've streamed, I've made comments about that particular stream. Oh, there's me as well. Probably going to start echoing in a second. Picture of me, excellent. Let's see what else. My hat. Let's check my hat's working. I did a few tweaks with the hat today, just to make it a bit brighter. Hat. Let's see what's going on. Oh, there we go. Yep, the hat gives you a bit brighter effect now. So hopefully, if people join, or if you follow me, or if you interact with me in the chat window, you'll get the hat doing its thing. I'm looking on my monitor on the side here because that's where my OBS window is streaming from. Yeah, it's finished. Let's just do a quick hat color. Let's just do a random. Does it do random color? Yeah, it does. Random color. Excellent. And then we can do hat color. In fact, I might leave it on a random color. See if it changes. Right. So I will just chat with myself for a little while, making sure things are all working. I've been very busy in the last couple of days. I had a reasonable stream on Tuesday evening at my other regular stream time. And let's see, let's start up things as we normally do. So we gulp serve, and I need to start up Chrome. Google Chrome. Google Chrome, AquaStax, here we are. Shuffle the windows slightly. Okay, let me just go and also check live coding, make sure my live stream is flagged. Yep, I am live, excellent. Right, I won't worry about that, just watch my network monitor. So, it managed to do quite a bit of work the other day. It was fixing the sliding, we've done that. There was another, what else did I fix the other day? In fact, I can go and check what I did in SmartGit. I think it was to do with the various collision stuff I was testing. Oh, that's right. What I'll do is I'll just look at the last things I did. Let's see this. Is that going to double? Here we go. Right. Hopefully fix the infinite while loop issue that I had when rotating the next to the grid edge. Investigate rotating into place and overlap bug. Move all the block handling logic into handle block movement. Refactor the key press indicators. That's right. I did a bit of work with those key press indicators. I think we got rid of some and we kept another couple of them. You'll see if I press left and right now, as I'm holding the keys down, it seems to work correctly. Oh, I seem to be getting a lot of the blocks that are the same. I know. I was investigating an interesting bug. And what it was, in fact, what I'm going to do is I didn't spend a huge amount of time on the stream just staring at the code and trying to debug things. I ended up ending, I think, after I'd done a bunch of work, and I carried on looking at it a bit afterwards. Actually, I think it was the next day, because Tuesday evenings are it's a bit of hard work to get something done on a Tuesday evening. Anyway, welcome Mr. Locke, good to see you. I was just about to describe that I had found my bug, which I left the last stream on Tuesday with. So what it was, it turned out to be in grid.js line 358, which is here. So what had happened was I had that in the code. So I was using get tile cells on the block object, but at some point in the past, something had caused me to change get tile cells in such a way that I added an extra parameter to it, and I added the parameter at the beginning of the parameter list. And I might do a git blame and see what's changed on that line. Actually, I wonder if I can do that. Or GitHub blame maybe. Anyway, so that my call to it here, where it was expecting to be past the rotation, because what we're doing is testing to see what the new rotation will result in when I press the up key. Let's go to Chrome. Here we go. So when I press the up key, it checks to see what the new rotated block, whether it will collide. It does so by passing collide with grid data and other stuff. And it passes the new rotation. Here it is, passes the new rotation. But that wasn't actually being recognized because this function, block.getTileCells, had changed to include empty. So what was actually happening was rotation was always undefined, so it was always testing against the rotation that the block was currently at. So the result of that was that when a block lands, what you can do is you can rotate it just before it lands, and it will overlap the existing block. Right, if I go dink, there it is, it overlaps. And I thought it was to do with the triangles overlapping or something else, but it turns out not to be. It was just this bug, which I'd introduced. So I'm going to have a quick look at that code now. I had fixed it, but I think I'd be better off having a quick look at get tile cells, see where it's actually used, and whether or not include empty is even called anywhere. Let's see. So get tile cells appears to only be called once, and it's in this particular part of collide block with grid data. I think maybe it was a premature optimization. What I had done was I was planning on, at the moment, this returns all the tile cells that the block is defined with at its current rotation. That's right. So in this case, it will be 4, but so it returns all these 4 cells, but only 2 of them are filled with anything. What I think this was for was so that I could actually just not include the empty ones, and that meant that the only cells which actually have a grid, a triangle in them, get returned by that function. And then when it's passed to the collision testing, we're only testing cells that actually have something in them. It's kind of like just getting rid of the 0 before it does anything. But so I had include empty. So luckily it was actually working at all. Luckily it was working, because include empty was usually passed as a rotation, unless of course it hit 0. Oh no, tile set is not 0, so yes, always. If include empty or tile set is not 0, do I want to get rid of this? I think I probably do. Let's just comment that out for now. We're going to put rotation back there. I might put include empty. I might change it so that it's actually exclude empty. So that exclude empty is true, or tile cell does not equal 0. Then, so now hang on a minute, if exclude empty, so if I'm excluding the empty ones, so I kind of want to negate this, don't I? So we want if tile cell does not equal 0, that's the first bit of logic, or we're not excluding the empty, which basically means that we're including the empty blocks. So that should probably be how that works. And grid.js, game.js, no, it's grid.js, just passes in my new rotation and ignores the second parameter. So doing that now fixes this bug. So I can't rotate this now once it gets to that point, because the collision detection test is actually testing it with the correct rotation of the block. So it won't rotate, and then eventually it just slides because that's where it gets to. So there was one other thing that I have in this bit of code which I am a little bit unsure that I want to leave in there. But actually, before I do that, I'll commit this to my local repo just so that I've got to change this random tile number. This is in game.js line 459. This is me forcing the 459. This is me forcing the block to be that triangular one, so that when it appears, I can use it for testing. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Dark hat again. I'm going to change my hat color. My hat must have cycled when Mr. Lock came and then went quickly, but now it's gone back to dark again. I think I might have to change my hat so that it does some random things while no one's doing anything. Or my other option is to change my hat so that when someone chats in the chat window, it makes some flashing patterns of some sort. At the moment, you can explicitly communicate with the hat by using exclamation mark hat. Anyone can do that, not just me, anyone who's in the chat window. I have some options there. I could make it so that you have to follow me in order to be able to affect the hat. And it does do some things to prevent spamming, but it could be spammed. Someone could keep doing it and annoy everybody. So let's just try hat pulse. No, we don't want hat pulse. Let's do hat rainbow. Oops. Look. Rainbow? No. Rainbow. There we go. Right. It's a bit brighter now. I've upped the brightness of it. Looking at my ops window on the side here, it's pretty good actually. I think brighter is better. Certainly work better in the evening. Maybe for the daytime I need to drop the brightness a little bit. But anyway, let's go. Yeah, it's gone dark again now. Right. So I was going to commit this to GitHub. Quiet today, nobody's joining. Maybe it's probably because live coding is doing its updates. Maybe people are getting please come back later, and I'm streaming at the one time when no one's going to come and join me. Never mind. At least the video will be there for future reference. So that's gone and that's been changed. Okay, let's just view. Is there a refresh? Yeah, 5. Commit. Fix the error in. It was error in get tile cells, wasn't it? Get. Is it block? Yeah. Block.get tile cells. That meant that. Ooh, hi Shadow 1536, good to see you. Meant the rotation was not. Oh, and Coda as well. COWR, good to see you. Excellent. Glad a couple of people have joined. I've been chatting away for a good 15 minutes here, and nobody has come and said hello. Let's see. I was just talking about having fixed my bug, which is great. Fixed the error in block.get tile cells that meant that collision testing on rotation was not testing the new rotation. It was testing an old rotation. So it wasn't working. But now it is. There we go. So now I can, what used to happen is I could rotate this block and it would overlap, but now it won't. I think it should prevent me from rotating when it gets to that point there. Actually, that one, it's this one that's got the strange rotate. Yeah, can't do it, and it just slides. Right. So there was one other thing I wanted to look at, and also I should look at my refactor.txt. So, fix bugs 1 and 2, rotating a block into place. Yes, I fixed that now. Right. And this was the other bug I was going to look at. Rotating a block when it's moving down next to a solid vertical stack. The rotation stops and cannot be continued until the block is moved left or right. Yes. So this bit of logic is part of the rotation test when moving the block. And it's here. And there are two things I don't like about it. First of all, it's a kind of a bug in that there's a situation that doesn't match the other situation, what you expect to happen. And also, this while loop here, when I was playing with this the other day, on the last stream, in fact, I think it was, had a couple of infinite loops because I'd fiddled with the return values of collision from collide block. And there was a point where I got into an infinite loop, and that's really bad. And you just think that while loop, ooh, looks nasty. So there must be some logic there I can fix. And what happens is, so this particular bit of code is designed so that when you're rotating a block next to the edge of the grid, where it rotates around its sort of pointy end, there's a point where if I move it there, it shouldn't be rotatable. But what happens is it shifts it along a bit, so it is rotatable. If I didn't have that bit of code in there, let's comment it out, then the rotation of certain blocks when they're at the edge of the screen is prevented. And that can be kind of annoying. You want to be able to rotate a block if you can. So if I do that, I'm pressing the up key, as you can see by the indicator, but it's not rotating. Because what happens is, at this point, it would normally rotate around that point, and that square end would move up to the left, and it can't. And the same thing happens on the other side to rotate down. They don't all do that, actually. Some of them do, because this one rotates around its point there. Does that one do it? Yes, so it's stuck. So I can't rotate it. Now that is an option. I can leave it like that. But I'm pretty sure the old game that I'm remaking allowed you to do that. So what this bit of code was supposed to do was, if the collision was 1 or 2, which means it's hit the left or right edge, then we shift it one block left or right, depending on which way the collision was, and then test the rotation again. And then whilst the rotation is not, until you get a successful rotation, and there's a couple of things that can happen there. One is, let's save that. So now if I move this block down, there, you can see the kind of block area gets shifted across to the right. There it is, shifted across to the right at that point. So all the rotations work. And that's okay, but there are situations where we could break this, I'm pretty sure, for a start. And the other situation is it doesn't work if the block is sliding down a solid wall that's built up of other blocks, not just the edge of the screen. So if I make another set of blocks here, hi Wotanadu, good to see you. So that one, block's not going to rotate. That one's no good either. I want this one, perfect. So I can do the same thing as I had on the edge of the screen. I can rotate that block, but it gets stuck at this point because this collision routine isn't actually returning the right values to go in. So it behaves differently whether or not you're on the edge of the screen or sliding down a wall like that. And the second problem is, if we get a nice gap down, let's do that. So we've got down the edge of the screen, and we've got a wall next to it. I reckon if I'm dropping one of those blocks down that gap, at a certain point the rotation is going to cause it to like do something wacky. So let's see what happens here. So if I'm, yeah, something moved to the right, and now it's got stuck. I was hoping it would attempt to jump across. I might do that. Just test that one more time again with a view, one single row. How's everyone doing today? Do have a go with my hat if you like. Type !hat into the chat window. You don't have to be a follower or anything like that. It just works for everybody at the moment. Make it change its color, do some cycling things. So what I was thinking of doing was having it do some like little flashing or something like that if anyone actually just chats. That'd be quite cool. Encourage people to say hello at least. Here we go. So this one, oh, I'm not going to get there. So if I rotate that, no, it's not. Okay, that's successfully not rotating that way round. Let's try that same block, but the other way up. I don't have the prediction of what block's coming next implemented yet. That would be a. I'll try this one. So what I want to do is I want to see where it moves to the right. It's that way, isn't it? No. Okay, so it's not too bad. It's not doing what I thought it would do, which was move itself to the right automatically or get stuck in an infinite loop, which is probably a good thing. Let's try this the other way up. Yep, that's okay. I want to do one more. I also want to try a red. Oh, actually, these ones are quite good. Let's do that. No, that didn't work. Okay, oh, there's a red one. I want to try a red one with the point end up down a slot on the left-hand edge just to see what that does. So I'll quickly try and make that happen. Then I'll get into writing some more code. Blue, purple, red one. Nope. That'll do. I'll try that one. So that one goes down. No, no infinite loop. That's good. Did the blue up both directions, didn't we? I'm going to get another red one now. Oh, there it is. Right. When do you end up? Okay, no, so it's not as bad as I thought, but I'm still a bit nervous of that while loop being in there. So, see if we can do something about it. What's it supposed to be doing? It's supposed to be making the block rotate when it's sliding down next to a wall. So, do I want to, let's see, okay, so we got testing of collision 1 and 2. The collision of 1 and 2 is directly from here, so it's only ever going to get those values back when it does a collide block with grid bounds, which is the edges of the grid. 3 is when it hits the bottom. When it's going to get to the other scenario, it must be a different one, so it's not on the edge. So there's two things I can do. One is get rid of the while loop, or the other is fix the glitch where at the moment you can rotate the block, but you can't rotate the block when it's coming down next to a wall. So let's look at the wall scenario as well. I'm trying to do two things at once, but hopefully figure something out. Okay. So it does that, then it tests, see if collision is not 0. Well, collision equals 0, then it sets it in position rotation. So this one is, could I get some form of direction from the collision routine so that it knows whether it's colliding with something on its left or right? That's a possibility. Or I could work that out after the collision has returned true. So this collide block with grid data boils down to collide cell, doesn't it? And then it says report this collision back to the game code. What does it do? It reports the collision point. So the cell, and so it does return collision points on the block that's moving down. So there might be something in there that tells us what's going on. Let's have a look, see what happens. Might jump into the debugger. So what we kind of want to do is just look at that collide block. Okay. Comment that out and force the scenario where it's going to occur. So debug it. Okay. So just have to I might wonder if there's a way I can make my make a bunch of blocks already in the grid before we start debugging, because I'm going to have to make this wall every time I want to test this thing out, aren't I? It doesn't take too long, I suppose. Oh, that'll do. Right, so now I want a block that's going to rotate. Also, let's get to the right point in the code. There it is. So it's there. Ah, perfect. Right. So if I rotate that, what does I actually have to go and breakpoint after it, don't I? No, I can just jump over. And then we look in self.block. Oh, hi, Tony Code. Good to see you. So what does it put it in? It's block.collision points. There we are. So it's null. So that one presumably wouldn't collide. Again. Oh, now it's now got the up key held down, which is actually very useful in this scenario. I don't have to keep pressing up. So block.collision points, null as well. Continue. Block. Where am I going? Collision point still null. I'm looking for collision points, but I can't find any. Yet collision is coming back as definitely having collided. So why are there no collision points on self.block? There they are. Oh, it's collision underscore points. What was I looking at earlier then? I wonder if I was hovering over self. Inside self, there's a variable called collision points camel case. Inside self.block, there's collision underscore points, which is what I actually want to look at. Right. So the collision points are the cell, which is which one it is within the falling block, and the grid block obj, which is 49, and the grid block position, which is the XY position. So that's interesting. And then there's another one. So it's possible that I could use the grid block pos and the cell position within the falling block to determine whether or not the collision was left or right, on the left or right side. And then I can shift it one or the other. And then also, if it's on both sides, and obviously I can't shift it, so we can do that as well, that might be a simpler set of tests than this potentially infinite while loop. Let's just find out. Collision is 512. That just means it's an axis or a axis or slope collision. There's no specific collision on the sides of the grid. Right. Okay. Well, that's told me some interesting things. I'm going to have a look at that. So test. Hi, Suzhao7, I think that was your name. Yes, hope I pronounced that correctly. I hope my hat is flashing when people arrive. It should at least flash white. And then, of course, you can tell it to do other things by typing in that command in the chat window. Anyone can do this. Type it in your own chat window. Hat. Let's have a Cylon with a green, shall we? So we do hex RGB colors, red, green, blue. It should be green. Yay, there it goes. And there are some other commands. If you type !help, Tim, my bot, will do things for you. Well, what happened to lines of code I've got in the project these days? I haven't checked that for a while. Does it still work? 1,784. Getting there. Right. Keep getting sidetracked. So, if we might be able to shift the block sideways to allow the rotation. Okay, so this is what we want to do. Collision is not 0. If self.block dot, let's just do collision points equals self.block dot collision points. Collision points would be nice. It's correct, 0, right. So collision points, I guess we'll loop over them, I suppose. And what do we want to do? Average out the left or the right? Or could do that. Could average out the left and the right points. Or count the ones to the left, count the ones to the right. And if one of them is 0 and the other one's greater than 0, then we shift it one way or the other. That's what we can do. So let's do 4. I've already got an I somewhere. So I was coding some C++ yesterday. If anyone's interested and doesn't want to spend the next hour watching me code, you can, in fact, go to my YouTube channel. Let's bring up YouTube channel. And I'll stick a link in the chat in a moment for this. Where's my YouTube channel? YouTube.com. I don't know what the channel URL is actually. It must be Long Steve. But anyway, I spent about 4 hours yesterday coding some C++ for a interview for a contract job, and I made a time-lapse video of it. I don't know if you can see this well enough because the frame rate of this stream is only 20 frames a second, but this is 4.5 hours compressed into 1 minute of me coding away, making a game from a project. It's quite a straightforward, simple game. It's just a demonstration of things. I'll paste that URL into my chat window. Oh, and I was looking at some other things as well. So another thing I've done this week is found documentation for Cocos2d and a bunch of other things using a tool called Dash. And Dash very handily has a hotkey, and it will search for things. And I've got the Cocos2d documentation plus a whole load of other things. The Cocos2d documentation on the web is a bit difficult to search, but whereas this is much better. You can filter your searches, so let's just do something like node. And it comes down nice and fast, comes up really quickly. You haven't got to wait for the web to respond, internet connection, all that kind of stuff. Lots of good things. Only thing it doesn't have, though, is the Cocos2d-JS documentation. It has Cocos2dx, so you've got all of the C++ documentation. And a lot of it is still relevant because the APIs are very similar, but not exactly the same. So I was looking at how to make the JavaScript docs work inside Dash, and it's possible to do that by using some tools that people have written, JS doc dash template and so on. So I'll look at that for another day. Right. Oh, I was going to paste this in, wasn't I? Right. So do I have a variable I? Well, if I don't, then I do now. Less than. Then, so what we want to do is we want to sum the points to the left and right of the falling block. Where so let's have collision sum x. Oh, actually, let's do collision sum left and collision sum right. Okay, so if collision points, there's those collision points again. What would we store inside this as an object? So what we want is collision point dot grid block pos. That's what I want, I think. Control C. Grid block pos. So it's a position, so it's going to be dot x. If I want that to be, if it's less, I mean, to start with, we can just do self.block dot. Let's do block position. Potential new rotation of position, is it that? No, actually it's the current position I want, isn't it? Do we have that in a variable somewhere? No, I'll store it here. Too much C++ yesterday. I used the int instead of var. What was equals self.block.get position. Actually, we only want position x, don't we? Get position x. That'll work. I think I can probably just do self.block.x as well. Anyway, so I'm going to call that block x. Less than block x. Then CSL++. If collision point is greater than, do we want equals anywhere of those things? Collision point block x is greater than block x. I don't know if we're going to want equals, because if it's equals, it shouldn't be colliding. We'll see. CSR. So I have a feeling this probably isn't going to work, and I'll have to debug this and step through it a bit more carefully. But it's worth a try. So if CSL, so if the to the left, if collision points to the left is greater than 0, and CSR, and to the right there are no collisions, then we can shift right. Else, if CS right is greater than 0, and there's no collisions to the left, CSL is equal to 0, then shift left. I think that's kind of the logic I can use. So shift is basically going to be, I'm just going to move it one space, one grid, one cell. We can do this bit of code here. So let's do move x is equal to 0, shift right, move x equals AQ block size, and left, move x equals minus AQ block size, and do this potential new rotation of, so if move x is not equal to 0, we can update the potential position and then try the collision test again. And at that point we can just bail out, because if it works, collision is equal to 0 at this point, then it'll do it. So if this works, I'll be very, very surprised. Also, it's not going to work. Oh, no, it might work. Just thinking, will it work if on the left and right edges? It's not going to work on the left and right edges yet, but we'll see. Right. Oh, well, that shifted it across, didn't it? That kind of worked, actually. Right. I was expecting that scenario. So if I press up now, it should not rotate if this micro wasn't working. And it's not rotating. Ah, lovely. I've broken something. Cool, we're getting a few of these. There we go, it's that point there. So am I going to be able to debug it quickly enough? Probably not. I suspect I need to take into account the collision point. Let's go there. See if we can get another. This won't work. So this one. There we go. So what happens here then? So collision points is 2. Block X 350. Collision points. Block Opt. Collision points. Let's just look inside here. Horizontal X. So we've got one at 350. Yes, I know what I've got to do. I've got to take into account the fact that the block is shifted along. How do I do that? How do I get the left and right edge of the block that's falling down? I know I've done that before. You'll notice the block is within the right hand. I've got to take into account that little gap there. So I need to get the left and right boundaries, I think. Is that it? Let's just go for block. Get tile bounds, that's it. So we need to get tile bounds. And where are we? So it's the amount of space from the left and the right. So we've got right, left, right is 1. Yeah, okay, so it's left and right is what I want. It's left times grid block size. So it's block X. When we're testing for block X is less. Block X. So this is testing for the left-hand edge. So it's block X plus left. So it's bounds.left times block size. Okay, and this bit is testing if it's greater than the right-hand edge, and I think I have to do bounds.x minus, so block.x minus bounds.right times block size. Because if there's a gap on the right, the position needs to be shifted back by a little bit. Yes, and we only need one bracket there. Okay, second try. Give this a try. Make a little wall. Didn't quite want to do that, but never mind. I'm Meta Frogster. Good to see you. Been a little bit of time. Hope you're doing well. Did my hat flash when you arrived? Should have done something appropriate when a follower arrives. I'm not paying attention to it. Anyway, let's. Right, here we go. No, it's still not working. That bit works, and I need to check that on the debugger. So actually not quite there. Yeah, that's it. That's what I want, isn't it? Now I don't know where it's going to collide. Try this one. So collision points, we've got bounds. So we've got left is 1, right is 2. That's unusual. Left is 1, right is 2. Right, it should be 0 at that point. Ooh, welcome Coconut25, good to see you. Nice avatar, by the way. Why is right 2 at this point? I'm confused. Let's see. Maybe my get tile bounds isn't working right. I haven't rotated the block, have I? Ooh. Yeah, self.block.new rotation. No, the actual block itself hasn't been rotated yet. We're only testing rotation against a potential new rotation in position. Never mind. What is the rotation of the block? 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that seems about right. Let's have another block. Now, that one. That bit's fine. It's that one that won't rotate. So bounds. Here we are. So we've got bottom of 0, left of 1, right of 2. So this is where, what does get tile bounds do? Work out the number of grid cells from the bottom left that are empty of filled triangles. Oh, okay. It's from the bottom left. So this right 2 isn't what I was expecting it to be. What I need to do is, how do I get the grid size? There we go. So I need block. So this is kind of awkward. Bounds.right has to be minus grid size. Or is it grid size minus bounds.right? I think it's grid size minus bounds.right. Oh, it's complicated. Must be a better way of doing this. One way would be to simply ignore this requirement that blocks have to be shifted sideways if you try and collide them. That might be, well, I'll carry on with it today, and then next week I shall definitely get on to clustering blocks together into sections of the same color. That way then we can start breaking them. Right, there's a nice wall. No, still not rotating correctly. So what does this come through and give me? So let's just look at the points. So that obviously that left and right testing didn't work. So we've got so block X is 350. Bounds.left is 0, bounds.right of 1. Okay, so we've got, let's try the left-hand edge. In fact, if I just loop through that again, it'll do the same bit of code. So collision points of 0, grid block object X. Sorry, grid block. Oh, it's grid block pos.x, isn't it? Not grid block object X. I'm getting undefined, I suspect. Okay, that might be a good thing to fix. Grid block pos. Right, try again. Anybody knows a better way of getting JavaScript to give you warnings and error messages and things like that, where a simple error like that should have been caught by a compiler, or possibly something could process the JavaScript before my runtime? I'd like to know. There probably is. I'm just a bit long in the tooth. I haven't figured it out yet. Right. Here we go. Ooh, that actually worked. That shifted it across to the right when it was appropriate to do so. That's rather nice. Now, will it do the same if I slide it down to the left? Let's lose that debug window. It's exciting. It might almost have worked. It's a very complicated bit of code, though. Definitely have to see if I can simplify it a little bit. And of course, it's still not going to work at the edge of the screen. Slide down. Right. Yep. So that pushed it out nicely. So at that point there, it effectively moves the block out, although it doesn't move it away from the block at that point. It's only when it rotates further does that occur. So there it's okay. There it's okay. Now it's shifted across to the left by one cell. When it rotates again, the square section will go underneath the triangular section like that. So it appears to have moved out a little bit. And this one is another one that's interestingly causes glitches. Yep. So there it's rotating fine, but if I shove that in, it shifts it out at that point. Yeah. Okay, that's actually working. Right, rather pleasing. And it's only been 50 minutes so far since I started. So now let's just confirm that it's not going to work when I hit the edge of the screen. Yes, so now I'm stuck on the edge of the screen and I can't rotate because this logic doesn't cope with that. But I should be able to quickly handle that because I know that edge of the screen gets returned as one of these variables. Right. Some of the points to the left and right of the forwarding block where collisions occurred. It's a bit awkward to take into account the block boundaries. Bounds, I call them, don't I? Take into account the block bounds within the grid size area. Right. So if we're looking at shifting left or right, so the sum of the left or right collision. So I know a left collision will occur if collision is in fact equal to 1 odd with. Ooh, are you planning on targeting mobile with this or just using the browser for convenience right now? Yes, I am planning on targeting mobile at some point. The debugging is much more convenient when you write the JavaScript Cocos2d-X or Cocos2d-JS code through a browser. But eventually it will compile and run on an iPhone and Android devices. I hope it should be pretty straightforward actually. I'm not doing anything that's going to be difficult for a mobile phone to run. I have to handle the touch screen code, but that'd be good. Yeah, definitely like to play this on a mobile again. Where was I? Collision equals 1. Orbit axis collision is on the left, isn't it? 1 for left boundary collision. Yes. So I could actually do this, couldn't I? Collision. Do that. Uppercase or lowercase for x values. I haven't got a convention. So if collision and that is equal to 1, then we know there's a left boundary collision, so we can set CSL to 1, otherwise we set it to 0. And if we know it's a right boundary collision, if that's going to equal to 2, and I should really actually make these numbers something constant, because those numbers have confused me before when I got them wrong. So we might do that at the end of the stream today before I commit this code. So with any luck, that should automatically take into account the left or right edges of the screen now. Nope. Ah, it's unlucky. Why not? is not equal to 0. Ah, there's no collision points at this point, is there? Of course. So kind of what I have to do is fake it. I wonder, let's put these out here. And we can put this. Do I need that any longer? Maybe I don't. Checking where the little blue thing is there. So I can do that here, can't I? Move x is 0. This will do test CSI. So if there's no collisions, nothing will happen. If move x gets set here, it will dive up and down. I don't happen to have used move x anywhere else, do I? No, that's the only place. Good. Right. Ooh. Save first. I broke it. Just deleting that bracket arbitrarily is probably a bad thing. Unexpected token, comma. Oh, what's it do that for? Comma line 431. Yeah, shouldn't have deleted that bracket arbitrarily. What did I miss? It was that one, isn't it? There it is. Right. Right. So left-hand edge. Yep, that's shifted to the right in the appropriate place. Right-hand edge. That shifted to the left in the appropriate place. Right. Well, that's kind of working. And what I want to do now is a bunch of like just random holding the key down and rotating and seeing what happens, whether or not any blocks get overlapped or slid or don't slide or anything fits in the wrong place in an odd way. I won't do that on the stream. That'll be another day or a bit afterwards. I need somebody in QA to hammer the block rotating and dropping and sliding code while I move on to the grid clustering code. Anyway, let's just have a quick look at that from a distance. Just sit back and go, ooh, that's quite complicated. Let's see if I might put a comment in or two. So CSL, what did I call those? Collision sum left. Block CSR so grid. I'm sure I use these things in different places. I wonder, I might just go in and do this. So 1, 2, and 3, and 0. Let's go bar grid edge, grid left edge collision, grid left edge 1, grid right edge collision, grid bottom edge, just grid bottom collision. That'll do for now. 3. I should put split that window so I don't lose track of those variable numbers. Come down in here. here, isn't it? Nope, further up. Here it is. So we want no collision, right? I can use that in a couple of other places too. I mean, it's going to be 0, but I'm probably going to miss a few of these as well. They return axis or sloped collision, which is what I expect. Okay, I can probably now do things like, we won't get to change them all, but leave that one as 0 because I'm doing something with the bit fields there. Set collision to no collision there. If collision just not equals 0, I'm going to leave that one in there. There we go. That might help me not get too confused in the future. Hi Camo Banger, good to see you. Nice avatar as well. Picture of yourself, I hope. Where was I? I was looking inside this bit of code here, wasn't I? Having just done this, I wonder if I should actually just refactor these collision sum left. Ooh, and we're also, we want to take them out of there, don't we really? Yes, go in there. Collision sum left. And then collision sum right. Shift right, since collision was on the left side and the right side is free. I think that's okay because there's no collision to the right. Actually, I'm just going to, collision was on the left side. I'm not going to worry about that. Shift left, since collision was on the right. Move if appropriate, and no further collision. No collision. Right. I might be able to simplify this bit as well. Block x dot left bounds. So what I want to do is do block underscore. Actually, no, I can't do it, can I? I was thinking I might be able to just avoid doing this a couple of extra times or more times than I need to. Block x is different when you're testing on the left or the right hand edge of a block, so I can't. Okay, so that's something hopefully fixed. One more test of this. Sure I haven't broken this lovely into place. Yeah, it's still into place. Good. Oh, there we are. There we go. So it just moves it, shifts it out nicely. And same thing works on the edges. Yep. Ooh, slid into place there. Yeah, I think that's actually working successfully. And of course, once it gets stuck, it does. It won't let me rotate any further once it gets down to those points there, which is good. Anyway, right. Ooh, that's quite a bit of code that, but I'm comfortable that it's working okay. So rotate the block, no bugs. None found. There have been some found. I'm going to write none at the moment. Okay, what's the date? The 23rd. Oh, Rectool, good to see you. Very appropriate and humorous name. I have lots of rects in my code here somewhere. Actually, I have triangles, not too many rects, although there are one or two rectangles. Let's just see. I put in refactor, so a bunch of stuff in grid. And actually, I've probably got a few of the, yes, a few JS hint issues. CSL is already defined. Oh, that was the one earlier on that I found. Let's just Control S. So it's warning about no collision. That's fine. I can put these in here. No. And actually, I just realized that the bit of code I wrote down here needs to be fixed. Here we go. I want to include, so I want grid left edge collision here. And I want grid right edge collision here. 2. There we go. Definitely 1 and 2, isn't it? Yep. Right. Save that. So JS hint, which is about grid left edge and grid right edge. Yep. I should put these in my AQ global namespace, left and right. But for now, we'll just keep JS hint happy. That's an old one, isn't it? Yes. Right. Now I can commit that. Game, grid, right. So what do we do? Fix the shifting of the block left and right when rotating near to a wall. Either the grid edge or a wall blocks. And then also add some global constants for grid left edge collision, grid right edge, and no collision to avoid over using magic numbers. Ooh, right, commit that. If I push as well, I'll send everything off to GitHub. Definitely time for a rainbow hat. Yeah. Okay, so move on to stack clustering grouping. I actually can do that now. Move on to the stack clustering and grouping algorithm, which has two parts to it. One is rendering of the blocks properly. So at the moment, these blocks are all rendered as triangles, and each triangle has got an edge around it, as you can see, the white edges. So what I need to do is render the blocks as solid polygons and then a white outline around the block so that it's not triangles inside. Then extend that so that it renders any block of any shape. Although it'll do that anyway, actually. So that's probably the first bit to do. That'd be a nice bit of graphics code. I haven't done much in the way of graphics-y draw nodes and draw rects and draw lines and things for a while. Then it's a case of working out the clustering, which is where blocks of the same color, when they land in the grid, form a single big block. So I think this pink one here, for example, would be a block, and then it would need to be drawn like that, so that there's an outline all the way around it, but nothing in the middle. It wouldn't link up with that one because they only link up on solid edges. That one there would form a big triangle. And then, once those clusters are all worked out, we can do block breaking, which is where something like a pointy block lands on a flat piece, which would actually break this piece underneath it. But it breaks all the clustered together pieces. Then hopefully the falling logic will work as it does at the moment, so that the blocks will all fall down and they'll slide where necessary. And I seem to remember my old code did that in a kind of a accelerated time kind of fashion. It basically allowed each block to move down half a cell per frame, and it did one block at a time where they could fall. But the fact that it was so quick meant it looked like quite a nice collapse was going on all simultaneously. So, live_edu_support. Oh, you've changed your avatar name. It used to be live coding TV support, didn't you? And now you're live edu support. I'm just about to end my stream now. I'm going to go and have a good look at my page on live coding now, because all my markdown and things like that seem to have been broken. So there's probably a bit of migrating to do now that the new project-based structure has been instigated. But I should look forward to doing that. And I'm going to stream again next Tuesday evening at 8 PM. That's my other regular time. And then I'll see you next Thursday as well at 3 PM. Thanks very much for watching today. Much appreciated. Do follow me on live coding if you want to be notified. Sorry, I should say live edu now. I have to train my brain to stop saying the wrong thing. So do follow me if you want to be notified when I go streaming again. Well, thanks very much, Peter Frogster. Good to have you along. I think that's it. I haven't forgotten to do anything. There was definitely some interesting things I've done today. I'm quite pleased that it seems to be working. Code might not be terribly clean, but at least I've commented enough of it that I should be able to figure out what I'm doing in the future. And then we'll leave it at that. Right, I'm going to jump back to my intro screen, and then I shall see you soon. Thanks so much, everybody.